This week, this is like the afternoon special. Afternoon Delight? No, that sounds
Delight.
That sounds bad. The Afternoon Delight edition of the Stogie Geeks. We're doing things in reverse order here. We're going to do our Debonaire Ideal segment today on repairing your cigars. And I'll talk a little bit about what I think is debonair and some mistakes I think people make by various ways in which they attempt to repair their cigars, which usually doesn't work out. So that'll be fun. Stogies of the Week will be immediately following that, which is fun. We've got some old stuff. We've got some new stuff. And then Jason and someone else. Hold on. I have to scroll.
Willie Morante.
Thank you, Joe D. Willie Morante will be here from Miami Cigars. And we've got a very special cigar to smoke that is very exclusive to the lounge next door. So make sure you stay tuned for that. All that and more on this edition of the Stogie Geeks Show. This is a Security Weekly production.
Round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind.
Visit StogieGeeks.com/Debonaire for a list of retailers who carry Debonaire cigars. Buy some today and get a little more Debonaire.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. I'm your host, Paul Asadorian. Very excited. We're smoking a lot of cigars, and we got a lot of cigars to smoke. What I didn't say during the introduction is we're doing the show now. Then we're going to an event hosted by Mr. J. Savannah Smoke Shop for Tatuaje. We're going to smoke some of the new Tatuajes, as well as some reintroductions, which we'll talk about probably in our Stogies of the Week. We'll talk a little bit about that event here in studio. Now, I've settled on nicknames now to keep you guys straight. The Joe and the Joe. Joe Hollywood is here next to me, a.k.a. Joe Hozempa.
How are you?
What's going on, dude? And Joe Hollywood got the memo. It's blue sport coat and purple shirt. Blue-ish. That's got some blue in it, actually.
Yeah,
it does. Blue and gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice combination.
Thank you, sir.
Brings out his eyes. I like it.
I like it.
Rain Man's here with us. This is now Rain Man. Joe Debonaire is his real name, a.k.a. Joe Debonaire. But he is on the show. He is known as Rain Man. Welcome to the show, Rain Man.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Missed the memo on the jackets, but I am sporting a La Aurora shirt.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Your support. You seem to time that. You pay attention.
He themes stuff.
He does. He's puts more thought into things than we do of that nature, certainly.
I like it.
What are we smoking? Do you guys know what I handed you? I'm been researching it during the ads so I could refresh my memory. They don't make these anymore. So this was, and I'm trying to confirm.
It's a straight Carrillo. It's not. It's
This is a reblend.
Yeah, it stopped in what?
Well, IPCPR 2016, EP Carrillo announced the all box pressed Cardinal, which I haven't even smoked yet, which I'm told was a reblend of the original Cardinal, which are the ones that we're smoking now. The original Cardinal. Hold on, I got it here. This is Connecticut Broadleaf. It's Connecticut Broadleaf. See what happens when I don't drink for the show? Right. We're drinking coffee. Well, I was drinking mine. We need to refresh on the coffee. But this is Connecticut Broadleaf, Nicaraguan binder and filler. I liked the Sumatra, the natural Cardinal. I thought that until such time they kind of discontinued it was the best regular production, one of the best regular production cigars in the market. The Broadleaf takes, I think, some more time aging in your humidor. These are all, I like buying these. I buy the Robustos. I buy them by the boxes because they're often on close-up because they're discontinuing the line. So the retailers are making room for the newer. And EP Carrillo, they introduced all kinds of new lines at the trade show, the Grand Prize, La Alianza, as well, of course, their short runs for 2016. So I think for retailers to make room for all of those new EP Carrillo releases and the fact that these are now no longer in production, they're on closeout. And I don't know, you guys just started smoking. What do you think so far for like a closeout price that you can get for around $4 or $5, believe it or not?
See, I have mixed feelings about something like that because if I owned a retail shop again, right, one of the things that I would do is I would take some of the closeouts and I would have a section, but not have it at closeout prices. Do you know what I'm saying? So you would have a section of your humidor to have it age and just, give it a chance. I mean, yeah, you can give it a discount than Keystone. But, think about that. If this was sitting in a retail shop and you purchased this for, say, $4, and then you turn around and you had it aged and then on display, wouldn't it be even better, say, a year later, and they can maybe sell it for...
Well, it's a strategy. I think, you can go a couple different ways with it. If I'm the retail shop owner, I may save it for a while, put it out as vintage, and sell it at the same retail price. I'm not a huge fan of charging more for vintage stuff.
Right. I'm not saying vintage, charging more.
If it's vintage and it's rare, some retailers do charge more, some don't. I'll keep it at that Keystone price, maybe sit on it for a while if I think it'll move if it's vintage, right? The other strategy is the one I described before, like just close it out. Get rid of the inventory because space inside of the humidor, both on display and in storage, is expensive. Inventory is evil from a retail perspective. Sure. So I'd probably gravitate towards doing it at a discount. Now, the other strategy was kind of a hybrid, right, is to put it in a section. I don't know if you mark it discontinued, but it's not quite vintage. It is discontinued, but it's not on closeout. Right. Maybe it's like the last chance section, like, hey, if you like these cigars, I would call it the last chance section. Here's your last chance to buy them. When they're gone, they're gone. That kind of, you always want to create a sense of urgency with your customers, not over the top. There's a balancing act there, but create a sense of urgency. Say, look, EBC's not making these anymore. I'm not ordering anymore. Whatever I got, I got. The people that like to smoke them, dude, they're gonna buy them.
They're gonna buy them, and then it gives a. Plus, I also think that would separate you from being a shop and being a tobacconist. And you can really get into the blends and then have an educational process. And like I said, have a separate humidor or a separate section. I know inventory is bad, but with this day and age and the internet and all of that type of stuff, you would think that they'd be able to just sell them because your audience is no longer 125 Main Street. It's now it's on the web.
Well, half the fun is discovering new blends, but also circling back and possibly a discontinued blend. There's smokers out there for sure, probably the seasoned variety that would like to revisit this and the specialness of not having it on the table all the time.
Well, the online retail thing is interesting. Obviously, there's a lot of very strong opinions about online retailers and the cigar industry. However, in this situation where you have a discontinued cigar, I think it's in your best interest to put it online because as a consumer, when I buy out what's in the local retail shop, I go online and I'm going to buy what's online. If either they don't have it or I smoked through, I'm like, I really want one more box of those, right? Or try and get some more. So I'll go online. In the online retail, I was like, yeah, I've got some boxes left. So that if you're the local retailer and let's say locally they're not moving, you put them online. That may help you get rid of your inventory. I think it makes perfect sense. Right. So I see a future where retailers are going to have to do that to stay in business. To be honest with you,
because that's one of the things that really drives me nuts about the industry is when they discontinue something, they would naturally just associate that with a discount to have it move off the shelf. I understand the business logic because of the inventory, but some of the stuff that's been discontinued, and we could probably do a future segment on that, it's been really, really
should
good.
Be a little time allotted for that lag time where a seasoned smoker, give them a little bit of a chance to scoop those up before they.
Yeah. And maybe a limited discount. I mean, I can see a discount that, like at first it's 10%, then maybe you have a closeout and you get them at 40%, but there's some kind of structure to the discount. Right. So, but I think these are still really good.
So these are off the market now.
These are, they're no longer, well, they're on the market. They're just not making any more of them.
Right.
So whatever's out there is out there. There's a lot of cigars in that. Now, I want to get into our segment for today, and I'm excited about this one. This is one where there's no way I could cover it in just one segment. One is I'm still learning, and I'm sure our listeners will also have feedback on this one. But we've all had a cigar unroll on us. In fact, I've got, which happens to be a vintage cigar here that has unraveled on me. And we've all had this happen. It can happen, anywhere in the cigar, towards the head. A lot of times, often there's damage on the foot if you're not careful. Like I know the trays in my humidor and stuff have like sharper edges on them, so if it catches the edge, that's why they put the foot band on it. That's why they wrap them in cellophane or tissue paper or coffin or whatever. So it's bound to happen. And ideally, you do this before you light it up. Like I know this cigar is kind of coming apart. Before I light this up, I want to do my repair, and then I want to put it back in my humidor, and I want to let it rest.
What kind of timetable?
I would put it, so Stogie Sand has done this for me, and he said, put it in your humidor for 24, 48 hours. And it's kind of weird because you're letting the glue dry, but you're putting it in your humidor, which is more humid, to let it dry. But you're basically letting the glue set, not so much dry out. So you're not keeping it at 100% humidity where it stays wet all the time. Even in your humidor, that glue will set. I mean, it's very similar to the glue that the rollers use when they're constructing your cigar. Now, I did find a resource, Cigar Journal, the magazine, did an article, and they did say that what we buy today in the U.S. that I'll go through pectin and gum Arabic, however you want to say it, is different from what some of the factories use. So it's a different. It's all accomplishing the same goal, but I'm told that it is kind of different. And also, with a factory, they've got to have every roller has to have a supply of it, so they're making it in a much greater quantity than I'm going to show you today on how to make it. And it's stored differently as well. And I've made some storage mistakes that I'll show you as well, so you can learn from my mistakes. So what I see a lot of people do when their cigar starts unraveling is that you're using your saliva. Whether you're licking your cigar or you're licking your fingers, which is not very sanitary, licking your fingers, getting some saliva on there and trying to put it down. And you're like, after you do that, you get a bunch of saliva on there. You're like, I fixed it. It's great. And 3 or 4 puffs later, you're laughing because this happened to you, right?
And
Three or 4 puffs later, it comes off, and then you're licking your finger again, and you're sticking it back on there, and it's not working. The problem is the saliva is just evaporating, and there's no bonding quality when you wet it with your saliva like that. There just isn't. You could probably take some of your hair glue, but that might not taste very good.
I'm gonna try
Joe Hollywood. You might get a headache if you smoke through your hair products.
I
So don't use your
pomade, but we'll see.
Now, one of the I think it's Cigar Advisor, which is like Famous Smoke's big online information about cigars, which is very good. They recommended the chapstick, odorless, tasteless chapstick, or even if it has some fruit, and probably not recommended, but. He actually used chapstick. He's like, if you don't have your Arabic gum or whatever, he's like, you get a little chapstick, put it on there, like the one that comes in the stick.
Slightly less offensive than the prison style, lapping it up. You really don't want to do that in a shop.
The fact you called it prison style, I'm really disturbed right now.
Hey, I'm covering the tattoos for today.
Thank you for that. So it's better to use the chapstick than saliva, certainly, but I like, and I've tried the pectin. So there's 2 different kinds you can buy in the U.S., right? That we as cigar smokers readily, you go in your grocery store, you can buy pectin. Now, pectin is a white to light brown powder extracted from citrus fruits. So you'll see it as fruit pectin. It's actually made from fruits, a fruit product. So it will have, and that's this one right here. Now, the pectin that I bought, because I was lazy and I didn't remember to get it at the grocery store, so I ordered it online. It's actually pre-mixed. It works. I've used it. It works. It works, but I wouldn't necessarily use the pre-mixed stuff. Get the pectin in the powder and mix it yourself.
Is it tasteless and odorless? Or?
No, it tastes terrible. It tastes like really, really bitter and sour.
Okay.
But when you smoke through it, you don't taste it in your cigar. Both the pectin and the Arabic gum.
Okay.
I don't find any.
The flavor and aroma dissipate over a 24-hour period, a couple days?
No, you can taste it like if you just eat it raw, but when it's on your cigar, you really don't. If you put it around the cap, you would probably taste a little bit of that acidity, but other than that, it wouldn't. As far as I've known, I've had a lot of my cigars repaired by our good friend Mark, and done some repairs myself, and when you smoke through it, there's no noticeable difference in the aroma of the smoke, the taste, flavor, any of that. So, which is pretty amazing. So the Arabic gum, which is another all-natural, they're used in cooking, right, to thicken things up, or jellies and jams. Arabic gum is a natural gum consisting of hardened sap of various species of the acacia tree. Acacia tree?
Acacia?
No, there's no D in there. Acacia tree. Acacia tree. That's how I'm saying it. If I said it wrong, I'm sure we'll get email. There'll be a YouTube comment. Paul, you're a moron. You didn't know how to pronounce some weird tree I've never heard of before. I'll be honest, I had not heard of the tree before, but that's where it comes from. So I have some Arabic gum here, and I'll show you really quick what to do. And I've been experimenting a little bit with. Let me move my coffee cup out of the way here. I've been experimenting a little bit with this kind of stuff. So all you do is you take the powder, and you put the powder in first. I've tried it a couple different ways. Powder in first works. So just a little bit of powder, right? And then you add just a little bit of water. And I'll talk about storing it too. That's probably way too much water. And you stir that together. And you want to keep stirring it until it gets to almost be like honey. It'll be like a honey consistency. Now, I unfortunately, for the interest of time and people's boredom at home that want to just watch me mix things, I pre-mixed one before the show. So that's the correct consistency in there. Again, it has the consistency of honey, right? So all you want to do now, you can use little paint brushes, or you can use all kinds of different, tools or whatever. I use my pinky, right? Dip my pinky in there, and you want like the tiniest. A little goes a long way, right? Tiniest little bit. I'm gonna put my cigar over here. Now, ideally, what you do is you get underneath the piece that's torn. Of course, I'm ripping it to shreds because I'm doing it on air in a very awkward position because the table is to my right. Ideally, you want to get under the wrapper. This wrapper is really dry. Ideally, you want to get under there, but even if you can just get the seam, right? I tried to lift the wrapper, and it started doing bad things and breaking. That's the other thing when you do this, too. You want to be very gentle so that you do not damage the cigar any further. You also don't want to put too much in. I probably used way too much.
At the top over there, too.
Yeah. Oh, on this?
No, that other side.
Other side, yeah. That piece doesn't want to lay down for me. Just keep working it very gently. That's probably way too much. It's going to dry like a really ugly crustiness, which should be fine. Try and wipe some of it off with my other clean finger, and that's it. And you can see how the wrapper just kind of laid back down where it was supposed to be, and then we will let that dry.
Soft application to the undercarriage?
Yeah, ideally, if you can get under the wrapper. See, what happened is when I tried to go under the wrapper, my wrapper started cracking. You can see I got little bits of the wrapper on me. That part was a little dry. It's been really dry and cold here the past couple of days, so probably needed to bring up the humidity in my humidor before I did that. Thank you, paper towel is great. But that's it. And you can see, unlike saliva, I didn't have to work that very much before it just laid right back down. And that glue will set, and you'll be good to go, hopefully, repairing your cigars. So
it has no smell at all.
No, you can you can smell it, you can taste it. Smack it up, flip it, rub it down.
Oh, no.
And that's it.
You going to taste it, Joe D, or what?
Maybe after the show.
I mean...
Mix it in an old-fashioned.
Yeah, you can, muddle some up in the bottom of your old-fashioned. It's good. Now, what I did want to tell you is that when you store it, I need to find a better storage mechanism. This is one, I don't know if we can, zoom in on that. See how that one's really crusty and brown and disgusting? That was because it was sitting on my desk. In a Ziploc bag. And obviously that let some air in there, and it didn't bode so well for the Arabic gum. This is going to get thrown out. I'm just using it for demonstration purposes here. I mixed up a ton the first time. It was probably way too much in this particular container. You should.
Very much does look like honey too.
Now, I've done it before, and I put it in the refrigerator. If it's not airtight, as we know from our humidors and such, if it's not a thermoelectric refrigerator like a Winador, it will pull humidity. When you leave things in the refrigerator and you don't put the cover or the Ziploc bag it all the way, whatever it is starts to dry out. It's because if a refrigerator pulls moisture out, you put that in the refrigerator, it's going to pull the moisture back out, and it's just become a hard, crusty lump, which is not going to help you repair your cigars. Now, what I've read, you can store it at room temperature. Probably only for so long, depending on how you store it. Now, you can buy, if you search for cigar glue, you can buy it all pre-made. And usually they charge a premium, like this little vial, it's like $4. If you were to mix it yourself, it's probably like 25 cents, right? Or probably $1.25 for this whole thing. And what this is actually, because we were thinking about how to store this stuff, this right here is actually a makeup applicator. It's like an eyeshadow kind of thing.
I was just going to ask that.
And we found them like on eBay or something. So you can buy these yourself, mix it up, put it in there, and it's just an eyeshadow. And this works really well because the applicator and the gum, and I've had this probably for 6 months or a year, probably a year, and it just tightens right up, and it stays for a really long time. I haven't had to refrigerate it. So that's a really cool thing to keep, if you tighten it up, keep it in your travel case or keep it on your desk. I keep this one on my desk, right? And it's good for making repairs. Don't pay the, kind of price gouging price point of $4-8 for a little vial like that. Make it yourself with the Arabic gum, because this whole thing of Arabic gum is like, I don't know, it was like $3 or $4, and there's still a ton in there. I could probably make another 8 ounces of of cigar glue if I had to, which is a lot. I mean, because a little goes a long way. You really just like dab. Like I use too much. You can see this drying. If we can zoom back in, see how it's making like a paste on it. It looks bad. That's because I suck and I'm an amateur at repairing it. But I'm practicing. Practice makes perfect. Yeah, you can see I let some of the wrapper peel up here as well. But this will probably smoke okay. I mean, it looks ugly and I used a little too much, but that'll smoke okay. Practice that on. Probably shouldn't have used a vintage cigar to practice on, right? But practice on cigars and perfect it. Less is more. And that's it from your grocery store now. And oh, by the way, distilled water. This is distilled water. I always mix it with distilled water.
You could probably smoke that now.
I could.
It looks pretty.
I could. I'll probably put this back in my humidor though, because the wrapper seemed a little dry. So I'll probably let it reacclimate in the humidor. It's been sitting out before the set too for maybe an hour. I mean, even in that amount of time when it's 20% humidity or less in here, probably dried out the wrapper just enough so that it did that. So that is the very basics of how to just repair when the wrapper comes off and mix up some of your own ingredients to be able to repair your cigars. We'll talk more about it. There's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do. If you save the wrappers, if a cigar is really damaged and you save it, you can take that wrapper and make a patch. If you've got a hole in your cigar or whatever, you can patch your cigars. That takes a little more skill. Still working on that. You've heard and seen people taking the wrapper completely off your cigar, putting a new wrapper on. That requires rolling skills, which is a totally different segment. So more on that in future episodes. With that, we're going to take a short break, come back, and talk about our Stogies for the week.